All right, well, we're here with another episode of Conversations and Connections. Again, we're the official podcast of the Family Crisis Center of East Texas. I'm Stuart Burson, the prevention coordinator for the agency, and I like to call this our 100th episode extravaganza.
I like that.
With, who's that? You ask? Oh, it's our guest. It's Executive Director Whitney Burran is my guest today on the podcast. I wanted to save the 100th for you, Whitney.
I appreciate you, Stu. I'm glad that you invited me back on.
Of course.
The podcast.
Well, it's been a while.
It has been.
I think the first time you was on the podcast was right after you took the position of Executive Director.
I think you're right.
I believe. So that's been, how long? A couple of years?
Gosh, I'm going on my second year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
So you needed to come back. So yeah, this is our 100th episode of the podcast. So I did ask Whitney to be the guest today, just to kind of talk a little bit about, I don't know if you want to call it the state of the agency or kind of an agency update of what's going on in 2023. But I appreciate you. Whitney, you was off this past week, so you've been playing catch up.
Yeah, today was my first day back. Thanks for scheduling me for the podcast on my first day back
it's
from
like,
vacation.
hey, Whitney, what would be good for you? Oh, Monday when I get back from vacation.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, sure, I'll do that. All right. So, Whitney, first of all, okay, so we're halfway through 2023, and so I kind of wanted to let's talk about some of the things that has been going on at the agency this year. You know, we're coming off the heels of our third annual Safer East Texas training conference. And how did that go this year?
You know, our Safer East Texas training went really great this year. We actually had 158 people attend, which was 4 more people than last year. So we were excited about that. And for those of you who don't know that are listening, that what our Safer East Texas training is, it's an annual conference that we partner with Angelina College, and we bring leading experts from across the country to educate and train first responders and community stakeholders, whether that be law enforcement, CPS, advocates, and just any professional who are responders and advocates to victims, including domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, strangulation. And it's just really like a multidisciplinary focus that encourages coordinated community response, and so we can just bring that training to them. Mm-hmm. And we really enjoy putting that training on, and we get a lot of great feedback from our community partners that helps us make each year better than the last.
Well, this was the third year, so I guess it's safe to say that this is going to be an annual thing.
Yes,
that we
absolutely.
are going to continue in the years to come.
Yes,
we're going to continue with this.
We are actually in the process of scheduling speakers for next year, for our next year's training. So, so we're really excited about it. And, of course, this is going to be an annual thing, and we hope to see it grow and more people attend each year.
Okay, well, awesome. I think this is probably one of the biggest things that we, if not the biggest thing that we as an agency host or produce every year.
It's kind of grown into this really great conference that people look forward to every year. Yeah. And we really enjoy putting it on and, of course, hosting it with Angelina College.
Sure. All right. I didn't realize this. I don't know. It just kind of hit me. I think whenever I was off last week for the 4th of July, I think it's been about a year now since the production facility. Because I think it was a year that I moved over there along with my production facility. With my coworkers. Yes. And I believe it was during the 4th of July holiday week that our guys moved our furniture and everything over there for us to set up our office.
Doesn't feel like it's been that long ago, but it has been a year.
It has been a year. And, for those who don't know, myself and another one of my coworkers, we are officed in another building in another part of town. And I guess kind of tell us a little bit about exactly when I say the production facility, probably people don't know what in the world it is I'm talking about.
Sure. So our production facility is a multi-purpose building, honestly. And so what its purpose is that we, of course, it holds our Angelina County batters intervention and prevention classes there, and where our batters intervention prevention
Say that really quick.
Batters, intervention and prevention, or BIP is what we say, can do intakes there, of course, because we can't have those classes and do those intakes with our clients. And so that's one of the purposes that it serves. And like you said, it serves for additional administrative office location for some of our office staff. And then in conjunction with our thrift store, the production facility also serves as a place to store and produce seasonal merchandise. And it's been a really great addition to our thrift store because we can do product, price, and package product for our thrift stores, and so it can just be boxed and it's put on the thrift store sales floor immediately when it gets to the thrift store.
So basically,
clear as mud, right?
If someone makes a donation to the thrift stores, it's probably going to go to the production facility first, right?
It can vary. It varies,
Okay.
and so sometimes when we get a lot of donations, and it just depends on what that donation is. If we take it to the production facility, if it's wares, clothing, so it just depends on what that donation is, but. It's been really a great off-site location where we can really store and produce seasonal merchandise, honestly.
And if you're really lucky over there, if you look out your window, you can see wildlife.
There's a ton of wildlife over there. Stuart is always telling me about the wildlife that visits them at the production facility.
Or signs
yes,
of, hey, a raccoon was here overnight.
Yes.
I won't tell you how we know, but we know a raccoon was there. Heard some coyotes or coyotes, I guess.
It's a party over there at the production
is
facility.
what we've heard over there. So
no telling what really goes on at the production facility
but,
with you guys over there.
It's so it's been a year since that's
it's just been a really great addition to our agency, and like I said, it just serves many multi-purpose, and we're really glad.
What's the warehouse? And we have 3 offices. We have a conference room there, and so we
have board meetings there.
We have our serve meetings there now for Angelina County, so it's a nice place for everybody to congregate. So let's talk about numbers. I know we had talked about earlier when we talked about you being on the podcast, talking about things like how many clients that have come through our doors so far this year.
So the number right now, just kind of halfway through the year, we've seen over 800 clients, and with over 99,000 services provided.
So here's my question, and I'm not sure if I really know this. I know what a client is. When we talk about a services provided, what does that actually mean?
So one client can receive an array of services.
So maybe like housing or shelter, counseling.
Sure.
Okay, so that's a separate service for
it is. And so we count those services because, every client's need is different. And so every service that they need, it just depends on, what their situation is and what services they're needing. And so we count that as a service. So over 99,000 services mid-year.
How is that about what is expected, or do we really have? I know
we do.
In the type of work we have, I hate to say a goal because you don't want anybody needing our services, but is that kind of like what we expect?
It makes, and your question is, it's kind of a double-edged sword because when you look at your numbers, every month we have targets that we tell our grants that that we think we're going to anticipate meeting. And so to answer your question, we're meeting our targets, but of course it's a double-edged sword because, that means that people are needing our services. And in a perfect world, an agency like ours wouldn't exist.
Well, I tell people when I go out and describe my job, it's if my job was 100% effective, we
would work ourselves out of a job.
We wouldn't be here.
Right. In a perfect world, we always say an agency like ours wouldn't exist. So, yes, we're on target for our services, and we have to provide that number to our grants every month. Are we meeting these targets? So we're on target and we're meeting those services. But like you said, that means that someone is needing our services. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned grants, and I guess I think sometimes people think we're an agency. The money has to come from somewhere, and I just don't know if people really realize how much we rely on grants, whether they be government grants or private grants. to keep us up and running. Yeah, we have the thrift stores, obviously, but we have to rely on other income sources as well.
We
right?
do. And our thrift stores, they generate over half of that unrestricted revenue for our agency. And what unrestricted revenue means is...
You were reading my mind, Whitney. Thank you.
So what that unrestricted revenue means is that that's money that we can spend on client needs that the grants do not dictate.
Right. Well, I know like a grant that I may be on or a grant. Okay, you can do prevention work, but you can't do
direct client service.
Sure. Right.
Yes. Or you can use this pencil, but if it's bought out of this grant, you can't use this pencil.
Right.
Yeah.
So unrestricted means you can use this money for whatever you see.
Whatever our client needs, whatever the need is, we can use that revenue for.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that kind of goes to my next thing I kind of want to talk about. And a lot of times when I do presentations, I lead off with this, especially if I'm going to a place where they probably have heard of the Family Crisis Center. And I'm not saying everybody feels this way, but I think so many people out in the public, Family Crisis Center, okay, they know of probably us as the women's shelter.
Sure.
They know the shelter. They probably know the thrift stores, but they really don't know all the different things that we do. And I've had someone not too long ago tell me, well, I had no idea that you did prevention work. I had no idea you had a BIT program where you work with perpetrators.
Absolutely.
And I think there's so many things that we do that people just have no clue.
It's funny that we're talking about this right now because I just had a walkthrough in a meeting this morning where someone said, I had no idea that you did direct client service, that clients, received services from your agency. I thought you were just a thrift store. And it just always makes me, and it's always a great thing. I love meeting those individuals because it's always a time where I can say, well, let me tell you a little bit about really what we do and where our thrift stores tie into our client services and how vital and important it all intertwines. Right. And so, but going back to what you're saying, all the things that they're talking about, I would say over half of our clients that we see are outreach clients. What that means is they may not even need shelter services.
And I wonder how many people realize that too. They think if you're a client, you are staying here at the shelter.
And that's over half the time never the case.
Yeah.
Maybe now meaning that some do need shelter, but over half that we see, they might just need a protective order. They may need some counseling. They may need, support group, transitional housing. There's an array of services that our agency provides beyond shelter services.
Right.
And so, and we call those individuals outreach clients. But just when you say that, people are like, oh, I just I didn't realize that you provided those services. And so it's just interesting.
And I wonder if some people are surprised by that. I think there are some agencies in the state that may be all they do.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And they don't, I think we're fortunate as an agency that we do all of these things, that we have a thrift. So, how many agencies don't have a thrift store? Like the agencies like ours they got to have those grants.
Sure.
Yes.
And
things
we,
like that.
and I think that we take, our agency, we take a lot of, I would say a lot of pride in trying to stay really relevant and trying to stay ahead of the curve, trying to see what we can do, what services can we provide, be creative, and really just try to meet our clients where they are and see really what the need is. And that goes to, relying on our community partners too. We have to partner and we have to, work together as a community, and we have great partnership and community resources in this, in our area. And so I'm just so grateful for the partner agencies that we work with because they help us all reach our goal and mission to helping others. Yeah.
Well, and I look back, I've been with the agency 6 years. And
man, time flies when you're having fun.
But I think about like what we were doing 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't have a podcast.
Sure.
We probably that was not even on the radar
at
all.
Yeah.
we didn't have Charlie here,
Yes,
our in-house
our attorney, yeah.
We didn't have a human trafficking program.
We weren't doing intimate partner violence exams. We started in, I guess this is our second year for all of our direct client service workers to be on call 24/7 that respond to intimate partner violence calls. And so, and you just have to see where the need is. And I think that if you are a growing agency and you want to stay relevant, you have to meet those needs. And so, and I think that our staff are wonderful and great at doing that and working together to do that.
Sure. I guess, one of the last things I kind of want to talk about is, and I don't know what you can say, is the future of the agency. Things that are maybe down the pipeline that you can talk. I know maybe some things you can't really talk about.
I have a ton of dreams. I have
but
dreams.
as we're talking, and some things are kind of little, and they may seem silly, but it's a big thing for us. Like I'm looking out the window right now, all these brand new extra parking spaces.
Yes, you would be so surprised how 19 additional parking spaces make such a huge difference, but it does. And so, and I will say, when we talk about the future of the Family Crisis Center, I think that you are always have to be open-minded, and there's you can never say that's not going to work or we can't do that.
Right.
I think that you always have to have the mindset of we can do whatever we dream to do, and I always want to keep that mindset, and staff have that mindset. It's like if there's a need, I think that we're going to meet it, and I know that we will, as a community, as an agency, and so even I know it seems so far away, but it'll be here before you know it. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we're already kind of putting our heads together, trying to figure out what can we do for this month, how can we spread awareness. So just always just staying in the now, but looking towards the future, if that makes any sense at all.
Ooh, so profound. That sounds like that could be a tagline for something, right? All right. So how are things? Now this is the part we're just going to kind of throw the plan out the window. We're going to wing it just a little bit.
Favorite part.
But no, you've been at the helm of this ship now for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and
been with the agency because I want to go back and say, second year as executive director,
yes.
But have been with the agency. This is my 15th year on staff.
My interview.
Yes.
You sat in on my interview whenever I came on board, and I hope you.
Of course I did.
No regrets.
No regrets.
And now you're the executive director.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Because you started here, kind of.
Gosh, that's a loaded question.
When you first came on board? What was your position here?
So when I was actually an intern, I started out as an intern for the agency, going to Angelina College, working through the human services program as a case management specialty, and
Well, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk over
no,
you
you're
or
fine.
step on you. When you was an intern here, did you ever think that several years down the road you're going to be the executive director of this agency?
I just really fell in love with this agency. I did, and I fell in love with the mission. And at the time when I was doing my internship, the ED here, we really kind of bonded, and she offered me the position as her executive assistant. And so I worked right directly with her, being her assistant. And
you probably couldn't have a better training ground for what you're doing.
Yes,
now.
Learned everything from top to bottom this agency, and just really because I did a little bit of direct client service when I started, but when I worked into the administrative side, I thought how just as much important the administrative side of this agency is. And so I really fell in love with the work, and was hired in that position and worked there for I guess 3 years, and then was promoted to the operations director and worked with our previous director, Heather Carty. Could not have had a better teacher and mentor, working with Heather for 10 years. And then threw my name in the hat for ED, and here I am.
So look whose name was drawn when they closed their eyes and mixed up the.
And I'm all jokes. If you know me personally, I can be serious, but most of the time I choose not to be. But I really sometimes sit at my desk and think, oh my gosh, I need an adult, and then I'm like, I'm the adult.
You're it.
But it's been great, and I really love my job.
Well, I will say this, and I'm not saying this because I'm not, I'm trying to schmooze the big boss because she's on the podcast.
Schmooze away.
I can say, Whitney, you are very approachable. There's so many executive directors. You almost feel like you're having an audience with the Pope or something when you're trying to come in. Do I need to bow?
Yes.
Do I need to take my shoes off or anything? But I'm
literally doing the podcast with my shoes off right now. Yes.
But I think that's great that you do have that.
Well, I appreciate
that attitude
that, Stu.
and everything.
I feel like I don't have to do anything alone, and I say that everywhere I go. We have such a great staff, such a great team, and it just makes the work so easy when you have a great team behind you.
Sure.
And support.
Exactly.
So.
And
except you give me a hard time.
Well, what I was about to say, one of the things I like about Whitney is I can poke my head in her office and say, "Hey, have you heard?" Yeah. Whitney and I have this common bond, I guess, about music.
Yes.
We kind of share the same
we do.
Tastes in music. Hey, have you heard this? What do you think of this? Or,
Or, hey, you really need to listen to this. I think you would like this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I we're still trying to figure out how to share playlists and everything.
Merge our playlist together.
And everything. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you want to make sure that we talk about before we wrap things up?
No, I've really enjoyed this, Stuart.
All right.
I'm really glad.
Well, it's been 100.
Yeah.
100. The 100th episode. So I wanted to make it, this is about, if you know me, this is about it as an extravaganza as I can host.
We need something like a bell or something in the background.
I didn't think about that. Whitney Burran, the Executive Director of the Family Crisis Center of East Texas. Thank you, Whitney.
Thanks, Stu,
I appreciate it. And if you feel like you need our services, as always, we do have our toll-free 800 number. That's 1-800-828-7233. That is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also, be sure to subscribe to Conversations and Connections. You can do that via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much any podcast service of your choice. Whitney, what do you listen to Conversations and Connections on?
Oh, my cell phone.
And with that, be the voice. If not for you, for someone else. Thank you, Whitney.